It's hard enough to find someone you love and then decide to get married, and for that person to say yes to getting married, but then to go ahead and start in the red. Let's get into it. Now, in a previous video, I talked about grand gestures and that some people give them and some people want them. But I think that's nothing compared to the marriage industry, quote unquote, that everyone seems to want to fall victim to out there when it comes to starting a marriage and starting a life together. You really need to be cautious of what you see on social media, TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is. This lifestyle that you think you need to lead and you think you need to impress everyone out there when it comes to starting a marriage. You do not want to start a marriage in the red. What do I mean by that? Well, in that video, when I talked about grand gestures, I had two people in the comments talk about how young people now are just going all out on starting their lives together with, extravagant events, whether it's an engagement party or maybe it's a bridal shower or a bachelorette party where you go to Vegas, whatever it is. And then let alone the wedding. Okay. We hear about weddings going upwards of $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. Okay. And then to top it off, you then go on an extravagant honeymoon. Maybe you spend $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, and all for what? So you can get some photos for probably Facebook or Instagram. And maybe you're, thinking that, oh, this is going to, make everyone happy. The honest truth, guys, is that nobody cares. I mean, people see the photos, they comment on them once or twice, and that's it. And now the two of you start out your lives in the red, okay, in the negative, going into debt for all of these little things, all these events that are prior to the wedding, then afterwards. Okay, you start out with maybe $20,000, $50,000, $60,000 in debt. And then to top it off, maybe you've got student loans. The two of you got student loans, and now you've got another $20,000, $40,000, $50,000 in debt. Add that all up, you're probably at $100,000. Okay, you're going to start off in the red, $100,000 in your marriage, and I'll tell you what, it's going to be a struggle for not just a couple years, a couple decades, probably 2 or 3 decades before you pay that debt off, and before you know it, you're 40, 50 years old by the time you pay it off. You don't want to start life out in that position. Now, if you have wealthy parents, good for you. They can pay for all of those things that you want to post on Instagram. But if you don't have wealthy parents, if you just have average run-of-the-mill parents who maybe can pay maybe for a little bit of the wedding, maybe 5 or 10 grand if you're lucky, you know what? Stay within that budget. Don't go over that budget of like $10,000 to $20,000. If you go beyond that for all these extravagant parties and big weddings and honeymoons, you're just setting yourself up for failure. I mean, I think they say 30 to 40% of marriages end because of financial strain. Now, it's not always all due to financial strain, but it's a big part of the stress of a relationship. So be aware of that. If you're starting out, if you want to get married, I mean, we've got enough issues out there with social media, with finances, with everything else out there that's going on. Stressful jobs, AI taking your jobs left and right. You guys, you want to start off on the right foot. And the way to do that is to not go all out on the pre-wedding festivities or the wedding festivities or the honeymoon. Okay. Take it in moderation, Go in moderation. When I got engaged to my wife, all it was simply maybe a couple roses, and I cooked her some popcorn. It was free. I didn't have some big engagement party or some grand gesture engagement. Okay. That's not needed for love. It really isn't. And then talk about bachelor parties. You don't need to go out and fly anywhere for a bachelor party or a bachelorette party. Okay. Go out with a couple guys, have a drink or two, and, maybe your guys will give you a gift or your gals will give you a gift, and that's all you need. All you need is to hang out with some friends and talk about life. You don't need to go all out on these crazy, extravagant money sucking trips. I mean, that's the honest truth, guys. And then maybe the wedding shower, do it at your house, or do it at your mother's house, or your in-laws house, whatever it is. Maybe have people help you cook the food, or whatever. Just spend a minimal amount when it comes to your bridal shower. I know that this is a time of celebration. I'm not saying don't celebrate. I'm not saying don't have a wedding. I think, weddings are nice. It's a one-time thing that you're only going to do once in your life, but you don't need to go all out. There's a lot of little things you can do, and I'm sure on the internet you can find tons of ways to save your money, okay? I'm not the one to say how to do it. I haven't been married for 21 years, okay? I got married 21 years ago. Things were different back then. We didn't have as much extravagant options as there are today. I'm sure you can go and spend $100,000 like that. It doesn't take much to spend money these days. There's so many options out there because you can find it all on TikTok, the internet, whatever. So be aware of this. Don't start off out in the red. Be moderate with your wedding, I say, for me, I asked my in-laws the other day how much we spent on our wedding because they were fortunate enough to pay for our wedding. They spent under 10 grand, and this was in 2004, so about 20 years ago. So today, with inflation, you're probably looking at your average wedding being around 20,000. I don't recommend going over 20,000. Okay, 25 grand today is the price of a used car. Don't go beyond that. I think that you're going to do yourself a disservice by going $20,000 or over. Okay, and then for a honeymoon, you don't need to go over to Paris, over to Europe or Australia. Maybe a Caribbean trip, maybe you could keep it under $10,000, I think today. I think when we went to Jamaica for our honeymoon, we spent maybe around $4,000 to $5,000. Today, that same trip, probably about $10,000, no doubt. So, keep it under 30, the whole thing, wedding and honeymoon. If you can keep it under 30, you're doing okay. Ideally though, if you could keep both under 20,000, I think you're doing pretty good. So I don't know. I think that that's something you need to be aware of. You don't want to start off in the negative, especially if you have other debt that you're bringing in, whether it's consumer debt, whether it's student loan debt, whatever it is, even car loans. All that stuff adds up, and it just sets you up for failure in your marriage. So, and I don't want you guys to fail. I want you to succeed. Not many people are getting married these days. Not many people are having children these days, let alone children. Think about that. If you set yourself up in the red, how are you going to afford children? They say children are like $250,000 over the period of 18 years. And it's the honest truth. I've got 2 of them. I know how much they cost. They're not cheap. So set yourself up for success. Don't go all out on the extravagant grand gestures and grand events. Okay, be moderate about it. I think you guys can do it. I think you could find the resources out there to make it happen, to make it a great, beautiful wedding, the wedding of your dreams, and just have people help you out from time to time, whether it's, maybe baking the cake, maybe doing the decorations. And you know what? Here's the thing about that too, is that those type of things where people help out in the community, your family, your friends, it helps you guys come together. It helps you guys communicate together and just be patient about everything that's going on. Don't be too stressed. And it's a way for you to all come together for one night, and enjoy the night together. And that's just my thoughts about it. So anyways, you guys let me know what your thoughts are. Have you overspent on your wedding, or did you kind of go moderate like I did in my wedding 20 years ago? I think we did pretty good back in the day. So anyways, if you guys could, let me know in the comments, like and subscribe to the channel, take a look at my previous video, and everyone have a great day. Later.